And welcome back, everyone, to part 6 of What If Midoriya Had a Combination of His Father and His Mother's Quirk. Last time, we left off on him getting his provisional license, or his, I always blank on the name of it. It's the provisional license, I think it is. His temp license, basically. And the fight with him and Bakugo. Now, the fight with him and Bakugo more or less wrapped up at the end. Here it ended a lot more in a draw. Obviously, you would get All Might coming in, talking to him, telling him about, I'm sorry about, sorry, but why'd you choose him? It's my fault. You got screwed up. Obviously, Aizawa, not messes with them, but punishes them. And that being said, you do get the nice moment between them where they're cleaning the place up, and he asks Bakugo, "What'd you think of my shoot style?" And obviously, he's also combining it with his fire quirk now. It's like, you're still got to stop telegraphing your attack, but adding the fire in there is a pretty dangerous little extra bit of caution you got to throw in there. And when you use your fist, it pissed me off. Gotcha. And so now we go into the Overhaul arc. I can't remember again. I don't have it listed in front of me right now, the names of the arc, but the arc where you deal with Overhaul and all that. Now, the problem I'm immediately finding with these arcs is that because we have to focus on Midoriya, these videos are going very quickly because Midoriya is not the core focus in all these arcs. Particularly Shibuya, I believe it's Shibuya, right? And the Overhaul and stuff. Like, I'm going through all these, apart from visiting Nighteye, apart from what we're going to do right now, visiting Nighteye and meeting Eri. Like, I've got the mangas right in front of me, right here, right now. Even going through the little bits where he does show up, there's nothing that having his powers would do. There's nothing. Sorry, let me rephrase that sentence. There's nothing going on in this, in any like volume 15 and 16, where having his powers changes anything. It's more social interactions, things along those lines. We'll still deal with the Nighteye thing, but it's not. Honestly, it's not until we get to way down into volume 17 that him having his powers is important to the story again. But that being said, we still have Mirio and the other two, Negia. I have it right here, dumbass. Why don't you just get their names? Let's see, the big three here. We have, it's Mirio Togata, or Togaki, or something like that. No good, Mirio. Tamaki Amajiki, him, and Nejiri, I believe it is her name. But that being said, I personally, they're all powerful, but first, I actually always loved Sun Eater's quirk, just the ability to eat something and take on the form of what you ate as long as you're still digesting it. It's such a cool quirk. Like, just eating crab means you can manifest the shell of a crab. Eating octopus means you can manifest the tentacles or the beak, and then you can mix and match them like he does with the chimera attack. Hell, even eating crystal, like swallowing a crystal, he was able to manifest crystal. So it's just a really cool quirk. Actually, at some point when I get around to doing the series where Naruto gets a quirk, like just take a quirk from my ear and give it to him. That's going to be a fun because of how much ramen Naruto tends to eat. And the fact that, that first belt test with Naruto, he's on an empty stomach, so he wouldn't really have any food in his stomach, so that his quirk would be useless in that. But otherwise, the ramen, the egg, he usually goes for miso, but I mean pork. I'm digressing hard here, but I'm going off the beat. I'm going off a trail here. But regardless, it's a fun idea nonetheless. I'm sure Naruto, knowing he has this ability, would eat a whole bunch of stuff. And I love it. I mean, we've seen him do different types of abilities. Hell, he somehow figured out how to do a laser cannon through the stuff he ate. Figure that out. Anyway, they introduce themselves, and like before, Midoriya wants to try him out first. Now, someone did ask me what percentage of power is Midoriya at for All for One. All for One. One for All. I always do that. One for All. And I'll say this right out the gate. If I am not bringing up what his percentage is, chances are he's at the same level. It just makes sense. Granted, he's got to also focus on his own quirk as well, but regardless, I think it's fine. Now, that fight initially starts out with Midoriya coming at him, going for the face. And he even says, going for the face, huh? And then just... Now, Midoriya is also very quick to add on, like, fire attacks. Fire attacks are doing nothing. He wraps the flames around his arms like he's been doing for his new fighting style. And again, Mirio quickly just takes down every one of the long-range ones. After he quickly does that, he says, looks like just the melee fighters left. And he quickly takes down everyone else, pretty much. As a matter of fact, he actually aims for Midoriya more than anyone, I think, first. Yeah, he aims for Midoriya first out of everyone here. And then quickly takes everyone else down. Now, here is where I think there's a little bit of a change-up. Because Midoriya has a fire-based quirk. Oh, no, I lost my page. There we go. Power! Mirio's awesome. Let's be honest. Mirio's awesome. And basically what happened is Midoriya predicted where he was going to come from. His leg goes through him. And obviously Mirio goes for the eyeball touch. And then he hits him in the solar plexus, which just completely knocked the wind straight out of Izuku. However, here, Izuku, combining Mirio. Fusion, ha! Mirio and Izuku create Mizuku. Which, if you were to fusion dance those two characters, would be a broken character. It would be broken. Give him all the quirks of One for All, and that he had, plus Mirio's permanation, or it's permanation, right? That's the name of it. That would be broken, because then it's like, haha, I'm gonna get you with it, huh? Yeah, about that. Boom. He'd be busted. But no, so he still hits Midoriya, but what he didn't realize, and Midoriya's like still got just enough left in, it's like, as he's explaining it, most of my opponents come up with a scheme to counter it, like that one. Right in the solar plexus. So naturally, I train myself to counter those counter that. And just as he's saying that, he suddenly gets, it's like, what the? I just realized Midoriya just threw the flames on his leg off. And actually managed to take him by surprise because he wasn't paying attention, because he's just assumed, he didn't realize that, he knew Midoriya threw fire, but he just assumed he knocked Midoriya out. He didn't realize that's what Midoriya did. In fact, Midoriya maybe even did it in close range, because I don't know if you can, let me enlarge this real quick here, so you can see the picture, wrong one, of how it looks, the middle panel. I don't know if you can see the middle, hold on, the middle panel there. You can see how Midoriya's leg goes through his shoulder. Midoriya literally could have launched that off, held the ring of fire behind him just close enough, and the minute he got solid, and knew he would get solid, just boom, it's like, Midoriya's basically got this like nice burn on his back. My God, I gotta hand it to you. I gotta hand it to this kid. He's good. Even though he's completely down for the count, and Midoriya still would be down for the count. Because just, you ever get hit in the solar plexus? No, thank you. He's still down for the count. He said, like, even though he was down for the count, he still managed to get one shot at. This kid's something else. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter. Power. Everyone's commenting, Mirio needs to learn how to hold back. Now, this is where he does go and meet Nighteye. And obviously he meets Nighteye and he's like, coming to terms with the fact that you have no counter for my no, I'm skipping ahead right here. He meets him tickling Bubble Girl, I think is her name. Are you making fun of me? Are you making fun of All Might? What? No. All Might doesn't have wrinkles here and here. So it's basically him not liking Midoriya for whatever reason. And him basically just dodging and blocking Midoriya the whole time. Or avoiding Midoriya. And unfortunately for Midoriya, his quirk is bad in this circumstance. He's not going to use it in an enclosed space unless he absolutely had to. And there's no reason for him to use his quirk here. Unless he's going to maybe just do a quick little, it's like, just maybe do like a blind, just like a little bit of a blinding effect. Just fire. And he just, I can't see him. Gotcha! And he's like, nope. Because he did try to blind him initially too, and he basically missed all of his All Mights, just like he did in the original. And so, yeah, Midoriya handles himself about as well as he does here. Again, despite maybe using his fire once to try to blind him, I really don't see him. I really don't see him using his fire in the circuit, because he'd risk burning up all the posters. He's not going to do that. Like, as much control as he also has a lot of fire, so that kind of control is difficult. But that leads us now into dealing with Overhaul, and we're not really going to be dealing with Izuku again in his quirk until he actually has to save Eri. There's like one moment where Lockdown, or I believe it's Lockdown, that's his name, where Toga, he cuts him, transforms into him, and saying, "Oh, Izuku, I missed you. I'm so glad you're here, Izuku." But no, that's about it. Otherwise, he crashes through the wall and starts to try to, save Mirio and Eri, and he, lands a shot. Immediately has the fire around his hands, because that's how he now uses his quirk. He's now basically firing punches with fire and all that stuff, and he keeps his fire like kind of closed on his arms a little bit. And so, my quirk's been erased. Wake up, Chrono! And he tags Aizawa, so everything you're doing is hopeless. I won't give my grand plan nothing to I won't have my grand plan reduced to nothing but a bunch of fools. And so, Lemillion, without a doubt, you were stronger than me, but it was all for naught. He destroyed himself and his henchmen, and they fused together, and so now you get like the super messed up Overhaul. And Midoriya is doing his best. He's firing off firepower. He's going in speed-wise, and he's doing damage, but the problem here is Overhaul's quirk is so busted. He can literally repair his damage at any point in time. And he even says, just because I healed myself doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And all of a sudden, Nighteye gets in the way, takes the stalactite or the spike to the gut, and Midoriya just decides screw it. And he stomped down the ground, threw my arm off. His power is nothing like it was before. 20%! And now, everyone, for the people who have been waiting for me to do something that changes the canon, prepare yourself, because you're not going to see Eri in 100% full count rank Deco in this. You might get like a little kind of something like that, but more importantly, you now get to see one of Izuku's new moves, one of his, not signature moves. Signature moves. And so as the fight goes on, it keeps emerging, and I think what happens here really is that it does get to the point where they get to the surface. But instead of getting this scene right here, even though he's protecting her, and let me get the dialogue for that scene right here. Where'd you go? That was at the very end of that one. And so, he gets his rant, say, rewinding humans, that's Aries' power. Depending on how she uses it, she can convert a person back into a monkey. You'll be destroyed if you don't let her go. Everything else she touches rewound back to non-existence. That's the nature of her cursed quirk. Hand her over. Now is the only way to stop it. No way. I get it now. The instant my legs broke, before I could even feel the pain, she turned back the clock. Seems like a pretty kind-hearted quirk to me. But don't worry, Eri, you don't have to worry about that. And he says, it's like, just stay here. I'll protect you, Eri, no matter what. And he just 20%. And he maybe even pushes a little beyond. And actually, I do wonder, do you think he could have handled a 25% at that point? As he described it, let's see here one second. As he described it, where is how he described it? My muscles and bones are really grinding. My whole body's screaming out, but I can still move. Everything hurts, so I won't last long, but I can move. 20%. He might have been able to push it a little higher, so maybe he goes a little higher, and now I can just feel his bones on the verge, but it's like, one shot, that's all I'm gonna get. And it's like, you could barely handle me as you were, boy. You really think you could stop me now? And all of a sudden, he lets out all his fire. Just, that's a lot of firepower. You forget. Are you forgetting? Not rebuild. I guess you could say rebuild. Rebuild myself. There's nothing you could do. And all of a sudden, the fire shoots around, kind of engulfs him. But then Izuku comes in, launches a strike, just kind of knocks him about a little bit. he gets thrown back, only for Midoriya to finally just do his actual move and just and all the fire's still here. He must be controlling it. Wait, where's it going? There's like in Midoriya fires like a bit of fire, just kind of blind through it, and he just sees what's going on. All the fire starts to move very fast, and it starts to slow. And as it gets to the size of about a basketball, Midoriya is just holding it there, condensing it, like almost like a basically Kamehameha. All for one for all. Flank headshot, and he just boom, and at 20%, he can launch the giant gust of wind at that point, which would amplify it even further. But along with his telekinesis and the power of one for all, he just boom, and he just launches the concentrated all pretty much into a giant ball of plasma. The state of fire is a weird substance because it's technically not in any of the phases of matter, but it technically is. It's weird. Let me put it this way. Let me just be sure about my statement before I make myself sound like a dumbass. I think I've said this before. What is fire? I guess let's start. What is fire? That's a fun little question. Which is like fire. It's pretty. Fire is a chemical reaction that occurs when fuel and oxygen are combined with heat and ignition source. This process is known as combustion, and is the visible part of fire called the flame. Now, is fire plasma? Is fire plasma? I'm always liking it to kind of like a lesser version of plasma. Not exactly plasma. Definitely not. Is fire plasma? That's a good way to put it. Fire is plasma, not a gas source. I was completely right on that. I actually feel very vindicated on it. Fire is a form of plasma. It's one of the only forms of plasma, essentially, that we actually can harness and create and control. Well, I mean, provided things don't get out of hand. But it's one that, instead of like just super concentrated plasma like the sun is, this is just a lesser form of plasma, but it is still a form of plasma. So yeah, I feel so great that I actually knew that as a scientific fact. But as a form of plasma, he essentially just makes a giant about a basketball-sized sun, and just and Midoriya is not trying to kill people necessarily. But he also knows Overhaul can heal himself if he needs to. And unfortunately, I gotta get out. So I can't let that hit me, and it hits the arm, and then Midoriya just and it explodes. He basically just gets incinerated, like just vaporize the arm. He can't regrow. It's like, you little, and then he just Midoriya comes in. He actually this time has Eri on his back. Just boom, just one, just does 100% one for all, and just boom knocks his ass out. And Eri basically is able to save him at that point because he times it, and he's okay. And Eri can't control her quirk, but Izuku is basically, gets her off him before anything goes haywire at that point. Overhaul tries again to take her, but it fails as her quirk kind of starts to go a little haywire, and it gets the guy out of him, so forth and so on. And that is pretty much the end of that arc. Now, at this point in the series, we are now, I think, at not the sports festival, but just the standard festival. There's not a lot we can discuss between the rest of the volume here that would be impacted in a significant way by Midoriya's quirk, unfortunately. The only thing I can think of is... nothing remainder of that book. The next is Gentle Criminal, and a couple other things we can definitely... the internship, I believe. Not the internship. It's a different internship. I think with Endeavor. I remember that. And then there's going to be the joint training arc we'll get into. I think that's where we're going to end. The next part is on the joint training arc. Because, again, the only thing we'd really be focusing on is Midoriya. But that's about thoughts in this particular... That's the end of this part. Oh, God. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys for the next one.